Tell your story.
Change the conversation.
Organized by students.
TEDx Youth at SHC.
When I was in 6th grade, I began birdwatching. It started out with seeing a single bird on my backyard fence, but it cascaded into journeying from Half Moon Bay to Bolinas Lagoon to Marin, looking for the rarest species. We saw everything from kestrels to cormorants, but one bird always stood out to me: the American crow. Let me explain why. During the Industrial Revolution, hunting and habitat destruction killed birds by the millions. A publication from the Science Journal found that since 1970, we've lost 1 in 4 birds in North America. But crows? They didn't bat an eye. According to John M. Marsleff, a researcher at the University of Washington, crow populations actually increased, not despite, but because of industrialization. How could this be? First, they are incredibly smart. They can solve 8-step puzzles, leading scientists to compare their intellectual capacities to that of a 7-year-old. But more importantly, they use and apply these skills in their daily lives. Crows have been observed dropping walnuts on the streets and letting cars run them over before waiting for the light to turn red and then going up and picking the walnut out of the broken shell. They also bring gifts to those who feed them. One woman found that when she gave them better food after receiving a $1 bill, they began bringing $10 and $20 bills right to her doorstep. I observed their intelligence while birdwatching, although I didn't get paid for it. They were constantly carrying around packaged human food that they could easily pick apart, or ganging up to defend their young against the much larger red-tailed hawk. But while crows are intelligent, we typically view humans as the top of the food chain, the ultimate apex predator. In many ways, this is true. We built everything from this theater to rockets that have carried us to space. No other species has done that, have they? But we're also facing serious problems. As climate change simultaneously floods and sets fire to our world, humanitarian crises go unaddressed. To fix these issues, we will not only require intelligence and technological innovations, but qualities, skills, and habits to put our solutions into place and keep them functioning. After all, the largest challenge of intelligence is knowing how to apply it. One of the 2 species I mentioned today, between crows and humans, was taught that by pressing a button, they would receive an electric shock. They were then placed in a room with this button for 15 minutes. 46% of that species pressed that button. Did you guess that the species was humans? Their only instructions had been to think. Additionally, when they were originally told about this button that would deliver an electric shock, every single participant of the study said that they were willing to pay money to avoid this electric shock, but they were more unwilling to simply think. Sometimes it feels like we don't need to think. Right at our fingertips, we have Google and ChatGPT. But crows didn't use Google or ChatGPT when they were able to overcome the challenges of their world. They faced their problems head on, proving that thinking and problem solving are exactly what we need to do. And crows can teach us how. In a study from researchers at the University of Auckland, crows were presented with a delicious-looking piece of meat. It was hidden inside a plastic tube, but they were given a stick to try to reach it. The problem was that the stick was far too short. What they had to do was use this stick to reach rocks, to reach more rocks, to put on a scale, eventually delivering a stick that was long enough for them to reach out and grab that yummy piece of meat. They completed this puzzle, this 8-step puzzle, within 5 minutes. It is important to note that this crow had been exposed to each of the puzzles individually before. What they had to do was take all of the different components and put them together, planning out a solution that would take them to their reward. This process sounds pretty straightforward. I'm sure many of you are thinking that you can do that too. But there is a huge difference between can and will. That's what separated crows. When they were presented with this puzzle, they solved it immediately. When humans were presented with the opportunity to think, half of them self-administered an electric shock. So why do we act like this? I have come to this conclusion. If you watch a crow, you'll see two things. One is that it's constantly on the move. It's flying between telephone wires, hopping around on the ground, or ganging up to chase the red-tailed hawk. I'm sure you've noticed this too after seeing them around in the city. This movement means that it's naturally going to encounter more problems. And if it encounters a problem, it'll try to solve it. Whether or not that crow succeeds, it will have learned something vital about its world, something that can help it in the future. The other thing is that it's rarely alone. Crows are extremely social animals that form connections with each other that last for years. When crow parents see someone attacking their nest, they'll not only remember that person's face, but they'll teach their young about that person's face so that when they're young, who have never seen that person in their life, see the person, they'll attack. Let's compare that to people. Data from the American Time Use Survey reveals that Americans are spending an hour and a half less time outside of their homes in 2023 than they did in 2003. This makes sense. We are still recovering from the COVID pandemic, and many people still work remotely. But it makes it even more important that we can go out into our world and explore the issues there. And this rate is barely an improvement from the pandemic, revealing that people truly do prefer staying at home. I get that. Home is really comfortable. But staying there means that we won't have the opportunity to explore the issues in our world. It also means that you'll connect less with your community. The American Time Use Survey adds that the amount of time spent socializing, shopping, and volunteering has decreased similarly and not come back. We're retreating from a world that is falling apart. So let's be more like crows. Imagine a world where people actively pursue their problems along with a group of like-minded people. Food insecurity, litter, a lack of affordable housing, all of these issues seem daunting and insurmountable. Not to mention that while they're happening, climate change is ravaging our world. But crows didn't view issues that way. And that's why they solved the problems in their world. They explored the issues and banded together, enabling them to adapt at a time when their friends and family were dying by the millions. So when you go home, I encourage you to seek out issues in your community and gather a group of people who view them similarly. Don't view them as hopeless ingrained issues. View them as crows did, a puzzle that you are fully capable of solving. Thank you.